Nice hand. What's your second hand?
Just a moment.
And for you guys playing lower stakes, definitely the game dynamics change when you start getting up to a little bit bigger games, and this is certainly an example of that.
The villain is a huge fish. He plays 32-15, and usually plays shorter than that. Usually play with like 40 BBs, and he has a very high check raise on raising position on the flop. He raised a lot in position against c-bet, and also check raise some turns.
Sure.
So let's go back here just a hair. Okay, so we're faced with a pretty big check raise on the turn. What's your thoughts, Devin?
Well, first of all, whenever I have a fish in my games, obviously the type of fish that he is so crucial. Most of the fish, well, a large majority of the fish, I would say, are very, very passive fish, and their biggest weakness is they call too many hands pre-flop, and they get too stationy post-flop. What they tend not to do is semi-bluff a ton of draws. They just prefer to call with them, and things like this.
They semi-bluff on the flop usually.
Usually on the flop as well. So if this fish was the type that I felt was really passive, I actually would consider folding the turn to a passive fish. And again, it's kind of the way that I'm trying to explain my opponents. I mean, we're at the top of our range, but if our opponent, for example, is the type of fish that's calling me with anything like a queen he's not going to raise me, and if he's never raising draws, at least not on the turn, then I feel like I'm beat too often, so I'll fold. If the fish is a really spastic fish, then obviously, there's not really much to be said because he's got so many wild hands, and I'm betting here. I am betting for value, of course, and I'm probably even betting bigger, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would too.
On the turn against this type of fish because I want to be able to just shove the river on him, and I expect, again, his weakness is calling too much. I expect him to call me with queen jack, queen 10. So I am, but if he's the type of fish that's just not aggressive, then I'm probably finding a fold. It's kind of crazy, but I would feel like I could probably find a fold against that type of fish.
Yeah, I tell you what, every time I get it in on that kind of turns, I always feel that when they raise the turn the turn on the current games, they always have it. They always have top pair beat.
Yeah.
So the problem here is that the villain is playing with 75 big blinds, and I thought that as the board has two flush draws on the turn, he probably can raise like that with king queen, trying to protect his hands.
Yeah, that's the big concern, is if he freaks out with a queen and tries to protect against the flush draw. Yeah, that's the rationale for calling, is figuring out if that guy's going to be bluff catching with that or raising.
Right. Again, it does come down to also, it's just when that's all I'm thinking that I can beat. Like, for example, if I knew for a fact that he never semi-bluffed his draws, which I clearly do not. I do not know that. And the only hand that I'm thinking I beat is king queen, and he has to decide to overvalue it essentially and go for like a protection check raise. And I would expect it to be all in. I don't know why he leaves $44, but then I would just fold because I would feel like, you know what, if that's all I beat, then I'm probably not good here. So I would expect to see a set of 5s, set of 8s pretty often, or I don't know what his 3-betting tendencies are, but I would expect him not to have aces and kings all that often. And then also, he's got 6-7. This guy has 6-7 well within his range, because if he's playing 30% of his hands, he's never going to fold 6-7 of spades in this spot. And he flat has the nuts. Like, you're drawing dead against his turn check raise range. If we think that that's it, that's what he's got.
Yeah. the size on the turn was really. I think if he's trying to protect a king queen hand or trying to raise as a semi bluff with a flush draw, like imagine ace four of diamonds, that is a parent flush draw. I think he would shove and not leave 44 behind.
To be honest with you, this type of guy, I know it sounds crazy, but I actually don't think he's raising ace-4 diamonds here on this turn. I think he's just calling $20. You've offered him a great price to just call his hand. I feel like he's calling you with ace-4 diamonds here. Watch, you're probably going to flip over ace-4 diamonds.
Imagine that we are against tag on this turn.
Yeah. A tag player that... Yeah.
We are readless, not a lot of reads.
Yeah, if we're absolutely readless, then it's probably a call given how many draws there are. I'm still not loving it just because I feel like a lot of guys like to get their flush draws in on the flop.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think that I fold a lot on the against raise on the turn, but every time I don't fold, I'm sorry about that because I always.
You wish you would have.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing though. Like what you just said there is you feel like you fold a lot on the turn. Here's the thing. I fold a lot to river check raises, and I'll tell you the reason why I fold a lot to river check raises is because they always have the nuts in my stakes. Okay, so if you're saying you're folding to turn check raises a lot, it could be that you're actually playing the turn really well. I mean, extremely well. If you feel like it's a spot where the guy's just super balanced and you don't know whether it's the best play or not, then checking the turn sometimes is not a bad play if you're just really confused on what you're going to do to a check raise. But I feel like with this type of guy, that generally speaking, you got to keep your foot on the gas and go for value and be even betting bigger on the turn and then planning on shoving the river.
Yeah, but I think I would never check that turn against anyone.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah. But that's the thing, that every time I don't fold because I think that I fold too much, and sometimes I force myself to call or to jam that kind of turns.
Right. Let me just tell you this much. Just from what I've seen, I would get out of your mind that you fold too much. We just saw you call off 200 big blinds with top 10. I don't think you need to worry about folding too much.
You know, Devin and I worked together a lot for a number of years, and one of our biggest conversations we have is we just feel like gigantic pussies because we're always folding to raises. But the bottom line is in a lot of spots, guys just aren't raising with bluffs, with a weak enough range. And yes, we are exploitable versus turn raises and river raises, unquestionably. But if guys aren't going to be bluffing there enough, then that's the best way to exploit them is to bet fold there, and that's a central part of Devin's eye game. Is we try to, I know it's like everybody says it, but it's just so true. We try to be the better. We try to pound, and then when somebody has the balls to raise us, they're going to take the pot with a decent frequency. However, Devin and I are good enough that we're able to pick up when guys are getting out of line, and I know Devin and I play the same site, and Devin folds on the flop. Devin folds, I think, about 45% of the time to flop raises. I fold about 51% of the time, so that's not exploitable. Now Devin on the turn, both Devin and I on the turn and river are exploitable. We're probably folding close to 70% of the time to raises on the turn and river, but we just don't see guys doing it that often, so we don't worry about it.
Yeah, I agree.
And your image makes a difference too. And Devin and I try to keep a taggish image. We're both playing, like a 22-17 type of game, not getting crazy on the 3-betting and 4-betting. We pick our spots while trying to maintain a good image and targeting guys. We make our moves versus guys that we know are prone to fold, because we really don't want to have that lag image. We're trying to play it in guessing game when guys are going crazy versus we just prefer to play a nice, solid, aggressive game that has its tricks. And I would say that both of us, have one of the best win rates on our sites at our stakes without getting wild and crazy.
So what did he have here?
Yeah, it's 7-6 off.
Yeah.
Spades?
No.
I'm kidding.
All right. Well, good hand. Thanks for joining us for the class. Those were definitely really good hands.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
See you.